Welcome to AI Behind the Screens. I'm Vilde, and I lead the transformation of our product development to be AI-ified in every way at Vend. And Vend makes the marketplaces that you know and love, like Blocket and Finn and DBA, and many more across the Nordics. And right now, we're in the middle of an AI transformation that I think is really, really cool and also really difficult. And this podcast is about what's working and what's not working and what we're still figuring out. And I'm usually in the thick of it every day, but today I'm very excited to take a step back with you and explore how we got to where we are now and where we're going next. And today I have our CEO, Printzell Halvorsen, with me, and we're going to go behind the screens of AI in Vend, generally. So
Great.
welcome.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, excited.
Yes, absolutely. It's an exciting topic.
Yeah. Let's start for the listeners who don't know us, a little bit about the quick version of what is Vend and what are we up to?
Well, you covered a little bit of it, I guess. But I usually say that we build and run the leading marketplaces in the Nordics within mobility, real estate, jobs, and re-commerce. And with more than 300 million visits every single month, it's truly so that we have the household brands in all our markets that are used and loved by almost everyone.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And you've compared AI to the shift from print to online and also from desktop to mobile. And what makes you think that AI is as big as that, or maybe even bigger?
Oh, well, I think, history has shown that when you go through big technological changes, usually that also implies some behavioral changes that can influence a business. So that was definitely the case with from print to online, which was the birth, in a way, of our marketplaces. And we saw that perhaps to a lesser degree from desktop to mobile. But I'm pretty confident that the shift that we're going through now is as big as those, if not more. So exciting times.
Yeah.
That comes with some risk, but it also comes with a lot of opportunity, right? I think all the previous technology shifts that we have seen has actually made marketplaces more accessible to people. And I think that AI might do the same, make our products even more, let's say, prevailing in the markets.
And what is our overall approach when it comes to achieving that?
Well, I think it's perhaps difficult to give a simple answer to it. But I think to me, when you become convinced that a technological shift like this is going to happen, even if we don't know exactly how it's going to turn out, I think there's only one way to do it, and that is to lean in and dare to kind of take the first steps and start experimenting, start learning, and be on the journey to it. So I think we've done that, and I don't think we know exactly where it's going to lead us, but hopefully it will be to a great place.
Yeah, I think learning is a big word for us, and I think part of the shift that we're making with AI has a lot to do with also becoming or strengthening our position as a learning organization.
Absolutely.
And I think that's really been driven by that. And where does that conviction come from for you?
Well, I think that in an area like this where no one really has the answer, I think learning becomes the most important thing to actually find the answer, right? So we have to start out with something, try it out, experiment. We will see what works, what doesn't. We have seen that in so many places. And then we will make it better in the next iteration. So I think that is a fundamental principle to me, at least.
And yeah, what do you think our edge is, or why can a Nordic marketplace company try to compete within AI? That's such a big international field.
Well, we will not compete in every area, right? I don't think we will ever make let's say, the frontier or foundational models They take enormous investments by these global players, so we will not do that. But I think within the areas that we operate in, within marketplaces, within the 4 categories that I mentioned, we have great opportunity to be the ones with the most, let's say, knowledge and insight in what users and customers actually need, that we can use to build the best experiences to solve those needs. And we have some very strong assets. We have fantastic brands that are used by almost everyone, as I mentioned in the introduction. We have lots of data from all that usage that we have more than half of our users are logged in and so on. So that is, of course, also an asset into this. So I think building great experiences that are quite specific for the needs in real estate and how you buy a home, how you buy a car, and so on, is our approach, and an edge, if you will call it that.
Yeah. I think something else that's interesting about our approach is we focus a lot on AI in the product, which I think is quite obvious and what any company would do. But we also focus quite a lot on ways of working and building that into how we work, which is it's not primarily for efficiency. It's also to learn how to make those products. And
I agree. I think, you made that point several times internally, and I think it's a great point that, for example, to grasp what is agentic AI, you have to internalize it first, right? You have to see it in practice, and then you can start imagining how could it actually be in our products as the second step. But so I very much agree with you on that.
Good. And we've got AI in mobility and in re-commerce and real estate and all our verticals. Jobs is the last one. Now I said it out of order. Can you paint us a picture of what's actually live today?
Yeah, sure. We have launched lots of small and larger features. I think they can be broadly categorized within 3 areas. One is around ad insertion, kind of to secure that we have all the ads and that we have the ads in the best possible shape and quality. So, automatic ad insertion on re-commerce based on pictures that actually writes the text for you, gives you a price indication, things like that. Or in jobs, we have ad insertion where we help people write, let's say, inclusive ads with the non-discriminatory language and those kind of things, as an example. That's one area. The other is matching, so search and matching, discovery, where we have natural language search, conversational search in more or less every vertical now, where we are learning new things every day, I would say. And the last, let's say, area is decision support, where we have perhaps a little bit less, but we have some features also here. Decision support is about making choices easier for users or customers. We have it in jobs. We have something called Job Match, where we kind of indicate for candidates whether they are a good fit for the role or not. We have just launched something for car dealers in Dealer Hub that gives car dealers a good overview whether a car is performing in the market or not, and giving them advice what they could do with that car to make it perform better or sell better, basically. So those are some examples.
Mm-hmm. And as a marketplace, we're in an interesting position, which I also think we get a lot of questions from externally, which is that AI could theoretically kind of bypass our marketplace. And
sure.
What do you think the role of the marketplace is in this kind of agentic future?
Well, I think we have a fantastic starting point to kind of maintain the position as the destination also in the future. But I expect that some of our usage in the future will come through other tools. It could be ChatGPT, it could be Claude, it could be other, future tools that haven't been created yet. So I think that will probably be part of the future. But I really think that we can play a role of understanding you as a person at a much deeper level than we do today. And through that, not only give you a list of, these are all the ads we have, but we can actually tell you something we think that based on our knowledge of your needs, these are probably the best choices for you, or perhaps even this is the best choice for you. And eventually, we might even go so far that we understand what you're trying to achieve, and we can do some of it for you on your behalf, while still giving you the tools to be in control of everything in a way. So,
yeah. And what's the most surprising thing you've seen AI do in one of our products?
Well, that's a good question. Perhaps not surprising, but we have seen that when you give people, let's say, a search interface which is more chat-oriented or AI-oriented, people actually tend to give you a bit more information. Instead of searching with one or two keywords, they actually tell you a little bit more about their needs. So I think that is perhaps a little surprising. We've also seen that some of these AI-driven let's say search tools, the natural language search, they work for some people. We also see that some people don't like them. Many people actually don't like them because they fear a little bit that they will not be able to see the totality of the market. So it's a little bit counterintuitive, perhaps, that more intelligence actually gives you a little bit less feeling of control, perhaps.
Yeah, and there's this FOMO, I think.
Yeah.
It depends also where in the buying journey you are. If you're quite close to buying something, at least in my experience, people want to see the entire market and be 100% sure that they've caught everything.
Yeah, we know that.
Yeah.
In real estate, I mean, if you're looking for an apartment, you want to make sure that you have seen absolutely every apartment that could possibly be relevant for you, right?
Yeah.
You don't want, these are the 3 best ones. You want to have that comfort.
Yeah. And I think your first point is also quite interesting, and I think people have learned more and more, or some people can use chat interfaces effectively, also because they've learned that over time.
Yes.
And other services that we use, like an example from Google is 15% of all Google searches are unique.
Yeah.
So they've never been searched before, which I think is just incomprehensible. But it's
amazing.
Because people are searching such specific stuff and long entire questions or paragraphs. And I think those people are probably using our services quite well.
No, and I heard this from Google, exactly the same example as you just gave, and that variation has actually increased now with AI. There's more, let's say, variety in the searches than there was before. I think we see perhaps some of that on our sites as well.
So let's dive into a bit of how we organized for this. So we have some things going on in the company. One example is DI, our Department of AI. And we set that up with a deliberate expiration date, which is maybe a bit surprising. So why would we build a department designed to disappear?
Yeah, that's perhaps a curious reason for that. But no, we wanted to strengthen our capabilities around AI. So we set up Department of AI perhaps 2 years ago or so. We said that it will only last for 1,000 days. I think we're somewhere halfway on that now. And the idea behind it was that this is not about centralizing AI competence. It's rather the opposite. It is about, yes, we have to strengthen the competence first centrally, but the entire purpose of this team is to build competence and capability in the rest of the organization, right? So, and if DI really does their job well, then after 1,000 days, AI will just be the way we work, right? Everywhere, and it won't be needed anymore because all the competence will be out there. So I think that is the logic behind it.
Yeah.
And I think we've come quite far on that. It's good to see.
Yeah, I think so too. I think, I mean, I had high ambition, but I think in the 500 days that we've worked so far, we've gotten quite far.
I agree.
Yeah. And we recently announced another AI team or unit?
Yes. I'm not sure if we have the final name for it, but Team AI Mode or something like that. That's something different. We were still keeping the Department of AI as before. But we have also said that we're making another bet on AI, which is this Team AI Mode. We're setting up a small team on the outside of our regular, let's say, line organization. And we give them one question to answer. Basically, what if we were setting up a marketplace from scratch today with AI at the core, what would it look like? Right, so and we wanted to remove all the constraints that usually hold innovation back. So no organizational complexity, no legacy business models or technical legacy and things like that. So we let them operate on the outside and create a AI native experience. So it will be exciting to see what they come up with.
And the idea there is also for that to be a temporary unit, I understand. Or maybe it's still open.
Well, no, I mean, this will be a separate experience. So we will continue to innovate in our regular teams, full speed. There's nothing changing there, but this will be an experience on the side. It will use our brands, it will use our content, it will use, all our users will be able to access it and so on. But it will be a separate experience. And of course, that is a temporary thing. You will not be able to have two experiences in the long run. At some point, you will take the best of the new and bring it into the old and merge it into one.
Yeah. I think this kind of ties into something that I feel at least that the company has kind of practiced and gotten better at recently, which is change and experimentation. I think we've seen, we talked about becoming a learning organization earlier. We've seen a lot of cool experiments, like we have learning lunches and we have our AI day, and we're trying a lot of different things in order to meet what's coming. So maybe you can reflect a bit on that journey as the company.
Yeah, I think it's a very good point. I think many of the things that we have been working on, let's say, before AI, have been things that we have perhaps been able to plan and structure and have longer cycles on. For example, if you're going to do a product launch and a pricing event for your pro customers, that's perhaps an annual cycle even. And it is possible to plan that ahead. AI is not like that, right? Because the whole idea, as we discussed, is experimentation, learning, and iteration. So you have to just think differently and set up your teams and processes completely differently. And I think we have pushed on it, as you said, and I see that a lot is happening with that. So it's great to see. Yeah.
But how was that journey for you? Because I imagine, we were working in a more structured and plannable world before, and we've been able to transition a bit to be more experimental and.
Yeah, no, but I think that's I think it's a great thing, and I've been working with marketplaces for so many years that I've seen the waves go back and forth on this several times. So I think it's it's where we are.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Yeah, and something interesting about you is that you've personally been diving into AI tools. So something we try to preach a lot in DAI is lead from the front, and you can't outsource your learning. And I think you also thought that from before, but you've really picked that up and been diving into prototyping and building your own tools. Can you tell us a bit about what you made?
Well, I'm an old developer. I haven't been practicing that for many years, but of course I perhaps have an inclination to to dive into it when I have the chance. And I really think it is important for us as leaders to really get our hands dirty on these tools, because if you don't, you can't really fully understand the changes that we're going through. So I have definitely spent quite a bit of time personally integrating AI tools in my workflow as a CEO. I use it a lot for communication, as an example. But I've also done more, let's say, pet projects that are private to understand how is it to code with Claude and other things which I think has been great to understand it and done some prototyping and so on instead of just holding presentations as an example. So yeah, it's been a good learning experience.
Mm-hmm. I think it's cool to see what it does to the company when the CEO is doing this. Last year, we were working on, we were launching a Slack plugin with Claude Code. And then when it was launched, the first person who asked a follow-up question about how to get it working was you. And over lunch, some of the developers were like, we really need to step it up now.
Yeah, that's good. I like that.
Yeah. But what do you think it does to the whole organization that you're personally involved?
No, I think it is a good thing. I think we have to be role models as leaders. And it's not only me. I mean, I play a role in it, but I see, for example, when PC, our CFO, when he joined the builder program that we have, that also kind of influenced the whole finance organization, right? To really, okay, it's not only for engineers, it's as much for finance. So I think it is, it's role modeling more broadly, but I of course play a part in it as well.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And do you find yourself leading differently when it comes to AI? So more directive or less or something else?
Well, I think that AI is a big shift, of course. And you cannot only rely on the organization to drive that bottom up. So of course it has been quite a bit of let's say push top down. We have put it as our most important objective for this year, as an example. So that has been to kind of get the snowball rolling. But I also see that now that it is rolling, there is a lot of initiative kind of coming from the organization, and I really think that is the best thing, right? When it grows from underneath, that is so much stronger than when it comes from me or the leadership team. But it probably has to be a combination of both. Mm-hmm. And I know that Eddie, who is leading jobs for us, he has been also saying this, that in jobs they have had to be a little bit pushy on the product teams to say, well, we have let's experiment with AI in our products, because it wasn't necessarily the natural inclination from the get-go. But once you get started, when you see the opportunities and so on, it starts rolling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think this combination of top down and bottom up is a really powerful combination that we see so many examples of. And because change is hard, so without some sort of external push, it's really difficult to get started. Yeah. But also to use the momentum that comes from the organization.
I agree.
Mm. Something that's been coming up a bit more this spring, after I would say we've had a very good adoption over the last year. Then we're starting to see some of the more difficult sides of the human side of change and working a lot with AI. Do you have any reflections around that?
Yeah, I think it's been interesting to see how many, let's say, reactions and emotions that we have seen from AI, from fear. I mean, will I be obsolete? To almost an identity crisis for some people. If you're a developer, will I not be developing in the same way? To excitement, even the excitement to the degree where you cannot stop working, right? Which is also problematic. To fatigue and there's a whole range of emotions. And I think it's just important that we take all those seriously, because they are real, and they are new to us. We don't necessarily know how to handle all of them, but I think the most important thing is to recognize them and go into each of them.
Yeah, I think it's really good that we're also dealing with some of those things, even if we don't know exactly what to do yet.
No, we have to deal with them, right? Because they are real.
Yeah. Something that's interesting with that is we have a lot of enthusiasm and we have a lot of real concerns or fear and fatigue. And how do we manage to, this is an unanswered question, I think, but how do we manage to hold space for both and how to balance the two sides?
Well, I think there has to be a balance, right? We on one side we try to encourage and tell the, let's say, the positive story and the opportunity that we see from AI in our products, in ways of working. I think that story, of course, also needs to be there. But you have to find some balance with the other side and say, but it's not all good. There are problematic issues with it that we also need to deal with, whether it is, as you mentioned, fatigue or things like that, or fear even, or other things that are more, let's say, sustainability concerns or others. So yeah, I have at least tried to encourage people to dare to speak up and and we have invited those topics to our all hands meetings, invited external speakers to kind of get a nuanced picture, because I think the best solutions will come out when you have that nuance and that balanced view to it. So
yeah, I think so this is a very honest approach, or we're tackling this kind of head on. And I think another example of that is that we've said that Vend will be the best place to learn AI, that we can't predict the future and we can't promise everyone a job.
no.
But we can promise them us the opportunity to future-proof our skills.
Yeah.
And what made you decide to say that?
Well, I think if we go back 6 to 9 months, I felt quite a bit more skepticism among employees about what will this do to my job and so on. And we thought quite a lot about it, and how do we make people take let's say the positive view on it. I think that is the most positive opportunity we can give to people. I cannot guarantee everyone at Vend job security forever, but no one else can do that either. But what I can do is to make sure that everyone is as attractive and robust and so on in the job market as possible, and will also be the best employees for Vend, right? So and I feel that once we stated that ambition that you just said about being the best place to learn AI skills, a lot of things turned actually. I see that if I lean in, I can actually learn all these things. So that was great to see.
And have you seen the effects of that afterwards?
I feel that there's been a shift in momentum in the last 6 months. I think it's probably not only contributing to this. I mean, the tools have become better and models have become better and so on. So there's a number of things, and it's a little bit the snowball that has started to roll. You see others are getting good results, and then, let's try that here as well. So there are a number of things, but I think it contributed to it.
Yeah, I think so too.
It gets more positive, right, than something to fear.
Yeah. And I think another interesting balancing act that we're in the middle of is speed versus focus, or time and space to actually learn. So we have our AI day. That's an experiment now where we try to set aside a full day per month to try to learn. What have you been doing to make sure you have time to focus and also the speed to catch up with things?
Well, first of all, on the Vend AI Day, that was also a feedback that we received from people that, yes, we want to learn, but when are we going to find this time and space for it, right? There's so much on our plate, and that's completely normal in any organization, I think. So we decided to set aside one day where everyone just stops and we only focus on AI and experimentation and building and so on. And the feedback has been super. on that. I have dedicated when we had those days, I've dedicated a full day for it. I've worked on my own personal setup with how I work with Claude in my daily work. And now in the last day we had, I spent more time on working on how we're going to use it as a team, as a leadership team, because that's the next phase, going from just individual usage to team usage. And I found it quite a bit harder because then you have to tap into other people's workflows, and they think perhaps a little bit differently than you, and so on. But I think that's where you will find the most value also. So
yeah, I agree. It's really hard. What's going to be your first approach to tackle that?
Well, what we've said is that as a leadership team, we want to use it in improving the quality of our meetings, and it's about how we prepare for a meeting, how we run the actual meeting, and how we follow up the meeting afterwards. And we have said that what we have to tackle first is how we prepare for a meeting. So that is, for example, how we collect material, how we collect the feedback on that material from the leadership team, but perhaps also from the wider organization before the meeting, so that you can go into the meeting and have AI summarize, okay, this is where you should spend most of the time in the discussion to get to the really important discussions, not spend time on things that everyone agrees to, for example. So we're not there yet, but that's where we see that will be the starting point of this. So you have to have a shared context, you have to have the shared information, shared tools, and so on for this, and that's what we're trying to establish.
I think the effect on meetings in particular is very interesting, that there's this great process of alignment by being able to easily generate the context and have everyone on the same page, but also because we can transcribe and process what is said in the meeting much easier. Then the conversation can be a lot more free, and you don't need to structure it in the same way. So I think that's a really great improvement.
Yeah. And it's also interesting that it will require us to be more written, right, in our approach. Instead of presentations, we might have more memos, things like that. So it will change the way we work. I think one discussion we had also was, okay, are we now just applying AI to the old way of working, or could there be a completely different way of having meetings, right? So I think we are still at the incremental stage where it's more apply AI to the old process. But I'm sure at some point we will say, okay, perhaps there is a completely different way of doing it.
And I think we have to start there.
We have to start somewhere.
Okay, to maybe close off with looking forward a bit. What's a question about AI at Vend that we don't have an answer to yet?
Oh, there are so many questions we don't have answer to. I don't think we still know what the winning formula is for AI in marketplace products. I think that is perhaps the most important question for us. And I don't think any other marketplace has that answer either. So that's what we are experimenting and testing every day to get closer to. But I'm pretty comfortable that it will be something that is more personal to you. But let's see. That's a unanswered question.
Well, thank you so much for bringing us behind the screens of AI in Vend.
Thanks, Vilde. It was great talking to you.
Yeah, you too.